All right, some of our news alums have made their way to larger markets, never me, and to the networks, never me. John Ferrugia started with Project 13 crew and went to CBS, while Don Harris, who began his broadcast career as an announcer at WTVT, joined NBC News in the late 60s. Cheryl Atkinson, of course, who was at the anchor desk, went to CBS and is now at Sinclair Broadcasting. My wife this morning says, "Oh, Carrie Sanders is going to be there? I'm going to get to meet somebody famous." She's sitting next to John Wilson. But every time, and with all due respect to Kelly and Mark in your 6:30 newscast, which I'm sure is excellent, my wife and I love to tune into Lester, and we do what everybody in this room does. Carrie! It's Carrie! I don't know him, but I work at the same place he used to work. And that impressed my wife, so thank you, Mr. Sanders. Carrie Sanders is one of those people who makes us very proud of his high-profile reports on NBC Nightly News, the Today Show, and in special feeds to NBC affiliates. You never know where Carrie will pop up next. Let's take a look at some Big 13 clips of Carrie and some of his reports for NBC.
I'm Kerry Sanders. I'm a news correspondent for NBC News. I've been working for NBC News since 1991, traveling all over the world, chasing news stories, sometimes features, sometimes hard news, sometimes in between. I've been from the North Pole to Antarctica, and I've been to every continent, and have really had an opportunity to have a front row seat to some of the more amazing developments that have taken place in our world. I'm in Ushuaia, Argentina. They like to call this El Fin del Mundo, the end of the earth. As more tourists arrive here and launch towards Antarctica, it raises questions about whether tourism in some way is adding to the problems of global climate change. What happened is, as the Apollo missions would lift off and as the Saturn V's were leaving Earth's gravity, it would release those stages, and the engines would then fall back to Earth, splash into the ocean, and to be lost really forever until now.
So I've had my life in the hand of soldiers before, and I've come out safely in Iraq and Afghanistan. Love you guys.
We are tracking Hurricane Harvey right now. That storm is pummeling the Texas Gulf Coast.
Let's head to Victoria, Texas, and that's where NBC's Carrie Sanders is standing by this morning. Carrie, what can you tell us?
Well, right now the winds are still gusting somewhere upwards of 110 miles per hour as this hurricane just dumps in a record amount of rain. Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
Carrie, you're suited up and ready to go. Why in the heck does a guy want to swim with sharks?
Well, hopefully what we're going to wind up doing here is dispelling the myth that sharks are out there in the oceans searching for humans. And by going in with the bull sharks here at the aquarium, I think what we will get a chance to do is to see that sharks, of course, see me in there, but they're not after a human. In Florida, 1 in 5 of this state's 21 million residents is 65 or older. The demand for vaccines overwhelming. Tonight in Florida, a member of the state cabinet is calling on the governor to call in the National Guard to take over vaccine distribution.
It's a roundup unlike any other. Ponies no taller than 4 feet 6 inches tall, accompanied by their young foals. One of those images that sticks for a lifetime.
So every year, most of the ponies are driven from Assateague to Chincoteague, and some of the colts are auctioned off. For as wild as you are, you're remarkably friendly and tame. Yes, you are. 4 days after administering plasma from a coronavirus survivor, the antibodies in that plasma may have turned the tables. Kevin is awake, and you may have saved his life.
It feels amazing to know that I may have been the difference between life or death.
His remarkable recovery and the role plasma may have played is now part of a much larger study.
It was quite the event when Kerry Sanders was reporting on Irma and came across a stranded baby dolphin. We watched live, as you mentioned, Matt, as he and a Good Samaritan helped the dolphin back into the Gulf of Mexico. What was really crazy was less than an hour later, Kerry learned of yet another dolphin further up that beach, this time an adult. He organized a group of bystanders, and they carried that dolphin also back into the water. Social media users were captivated by the rescues. We have a couple of them here, Missy tweeting, "He's my new hero. I watched this live and cried. Thank you, Kerry." Jessica adding, "Just amazing. Thank you, Kerry." What did you think about being lauded as a hero online?
I'm not sure whether hero is the right word, but I think it was the one good moment that people could have amid all the devastation.
See? He's saving dolphins, ladies and gentlemen. My wife is right. A star is among us. Please welcome, and who will hopefully tell us about the crazy weeks and how he manages his life, Mr. Network TV himself, Carrie Sanders.
So I started at Channel 13 with Kelly. Kelly and I started at the same time. And I'm going to see whether she can remember this. This is what we used to do. In Tampa, Kerry Sanders, Pulse 13, on the night beat. And we did that little break on it because they would rerun it in the morning and they would chop it out right before we said on the night beat. You know, what Lloyd said is really true when he was talking about the guys over here. I mean, I came from Market 127. It was WINK, Wink TV in Fort Myers, and I came up to Tampa, and this is the big time. I mean, it was Market 17. It was remarkable that somehow I got a job here. It's kind of hard to believe that we were once the kids, but we were the kids arriving at the station. And I kind of remember walking into the station. You didn't even know your way into the station when you're new. And I walked through this one studio, and I'm like, bales of hay? Where am I working? What is this place? Made my way, and in my first week, I was in the newsroom, and I'm told, Kerry, there's breaking news in Pinellas Park, which I don't know, Tampa Bay, I don't know where Pinellas Park is, but I'm going to find my way there, and Jewel McGee is going to be my cameraman. It was a big story, and this is really kind of like my first moment of importance at Channel 13. We're getting ready to go live. Jewel's doing what Jewel does. You know, I saw that one image of him with that cigar. He always had that cigar. He had the big cowboy hat on that we know Jewel did. And as we're getting ready to go live, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on, this is really before the world of PIOs giving you information. You had to figure it out on your own. I get this. I'm standing there. I've got my little earpiece in. I don't even have the molded one. It's just like a little thing that goes on my ear. And as I'm standing there, trying to listen, trying to figure out what's going to go, I hear this. Yee-haw! Live TV! I love live TV! Boom! And Jewel knows he did this. It was the hazing process. So I stumbled my way through the live shot. And if I could get through that live shot, I would be able to stay at Channel 13. Thankfully, it all worked out. And, you know, in the process of, and again, I know I'm reflecting what Lloyd said, one of my best friends here, of what we got as journalists from the table over there, from Coy Hobson, from Mike Massaro, Brian Gray. I can actually remember going on a night beat story with Dwayne. And again, I'm new. I've come from Fort Myers. We had live TV, but not really. And I didn't know what to say. You know, you're trying to learn this job on the job. And I got there, and Dwayne handed me the microphone. It was a shotgun microphone, a cable. He's standing there, and he goes, okay, let's do your stand-up and get out of here. And I'm like, I don't know what to say. Who wrote my stand-up? Dwayne Martin. And he probably did that for a lot of people. You know, the experiences that we shared really have allowed me, I think, to build my career. Fortunately, Channel 13, with the help of Bobby O'Brien, who was here earlier, sent me off to the first Gulf War. I did that with Sam Halleback's amazing editing abilities that really took me and thankfully ultimately Jim Craven to NBC. And since have covered wars all around from Afghanistan to Iraq to Kosovo to many places. And in my experience, what I've discovered from those earliest days where I was being taught that I think reporters can understand this, we have about 9 scripts in our career.
and they're like a Mad Lib. And you reach down and you pull out one of those Mad Lib 9 scripts and you fill in the things and help tell the stories, because everything's a little different, but everything is also kind of the same. You want to make sure you get the who, what, where, why, and when. One of the things that I was asked to talk about is how I do what I do and where I go for NBC. So my career today, unlike when I was here, or maybe much like I was here, requires logistics. So back before some of the roads were here, getting to Pasco County was a real difficult job you had to do. And we would have to work out the hour time to drive up there, how we would get there. This is all before the internet, and we did have cell phones. I do remember that, star 13. Does anybody remember that? Never make a call on that phone, only star 13, because that's a free call. And we'd organize that. And today, my job is very much about logistics. It's understanding how I can get from point A to point B, how I can get to the stories. I just came back from Montana, where I've had a chance to do an amazing story, which will air soon. I was on Ted Turner's ranch out there. But the opportunities that I got, or have had, and I continue to have, in fact, I don't know whether my wife is proud of this, but I just re-signed a contract for another 4 years. And they gave me a title. They gave me the title of Senior National Correspondent, which I think just means you're old and somehow you survived this. But I'm eternally thankful that when I got to Channel 13, Mac pointed out the equipment we had was amazing. Riding around with Mac in the Conus truck, or Dwayne in the Conus truck chasing Steve Padgett running for governor. However we all did it, I'm forever thankful. And the thing that people always ask me about, where I worked and what I've done, is I always say that, especially because I'm in South Florida, when Castro rose to power, the very first reporting team of television to interview Castro was from WTVT. That's an amazing legacy of a station that lives with me today. So I'm honored to be here, and I'm honored to be a member of a great club. As short as my period was here, 5.5 years, I feel like this is a family that I will never, ever forget. Thank you.
Star 13. You had to call it Star 13 Jono. With Jono, will you connect me with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office? And he would do that. And then if you talk too long, you'd hear Jono, hey, you still talking on this line? Yes, Jono, hang up. Yeah, that's funny. Hadn't thought about that. Over 67 years, there have been thousands of employees at WTVT. We've experienced the loss of colleagues over time, and it's always a heartache. Please take a moment when you can, remember the names who are no longer with us. There have sadly been all too many. Just last week, we lost John Brill. John was a sports reporter during the Salty Saul and Andy Hardy era. John was a very warm presence on camera and in the studio. While at WTVT, John met reporter anchor Deanna Lawrence and became another story we can add to our list of married people. John and Deanna were together over 40 years, and both I know have plenty of friends in our audience who share in Deanna's loss. Warren Elly, Warren Elly, love Warren so much. Warren one time looked at me and said, Belcher, I could never do what you do. And I said, Warren, I could never do what you do. We lost him right after the 2015 reunion. Warren was one of the best with his investigative reporting, his vast knowledge and love of the nation's space program. Oh, Mac, you and Warren at every single space shot. Oh, my goodness. If there was a launch, yeah, give it up for Warren and Mac on the Space Coast. And I'll be honest, I tell you, we mourn Warren on a regular basis because storytelling, the gravitas, when he spoke, you stopped and listened. That doesn't exist as much anymore. Warren Elly is one of the greats, and one of the last of the greats, sadly. Warren's wife and children are still family, of course. And Lona Elly, where are you? Please stand up. Where are you, Lona? There she is. And accept our applause. While on the topic, some of our alums have experienced devastating setbacks in their lives. They were not forgotten by their friends and colleagues who have several times even donated to GoFundMe in support of these people. That's friendship. We just mourn those who are no longer with us. God bless them. Thank you.